The conference room buzzed with discussions about faith and social justice. But Dylan Thompson couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing from his life. At 24, he was pursuing his master's in social work at Boston University, specializing in LGBTQ+ youth counseling. Yet despite helping countless young people find their authentic selves, Dylan remained locked behind his own carefully constructed walls. Denver's winter air bit sharp against his cheeks as he left the Faith and Social Justice Conference. The hotel keycard felt heavy in his pocket. Room 303, Uncle James had insisted on paying for the trip, proud of Dylan's dedication to helping troubled youth. If only he knew the truth Dylan carried deep inside his heart. The elevator hummed softly as it climbed. Dylan's mind wandered to the conversion therapy research tucked in his leather satchel, documentation of horrors he'd been investigating for months. Kids disappeared into programs disguised as Christian retreats, emerging broken or not emerging at all. The keycard beeped green. Dylan pushed open the heavy door, exhaustion weighing on his shoulders. The room should have been empty, quiet, a sanctuary after days of difficult conversations about faith and acceptance. Instead, his world stopped completely. A man stood by floor-to-ceiling windows, silhouetted against the Denver skyline. Broad shoulders beneath a tailored shirt, dark hair catching the amber lamplight. He wasn't alone. Another figure sat on the couch, but Dylan's eyes couldn't look away from the man by the window. Time fractured into pieces. The man turned slowly and their eyes met across the dim space. Dylan had expected surprise, anger, embarrassment. Instead, he found something that stripped him bare in 3 seconds flat. Dark eyes the color of earth after a storm, holding depths of pain that Dylan recognized from his own mirror. Not shock, but recognition. As if this man had been waiting for him. The spell broke when Dylan realized his mistake. This wasn't his room. Heat flooded his cheeks as he stumbled backward, his satchel slipping from his shoulder. Research papers scattered across the hallway floor. Conversion therapy studies mixing with his business cards that read, Dylan Thompson, LGBTQ+ youth advocate. He didn't stop to gather anything. He ran. Behind him, a voice called out, low and rough with something that sounded like longing. But Dylan was already gone, sprinting toward the elevators, his heart hammering against his ribs like a caged bird. Only when the elevator doors closed did he let himself breathe. His reflection stared back from the polished steel, face flushed, eyes wide with something between panic and awakening. Meanwhile, 4 floors above, Rhett Caldwell stood in the penthouse suite, Dylan's scattered papers in his hands. 29 years old, CEO of Caldwell Sustainable Enterprises, former Army veteran who'd built an empire in renewable energy and organic farming. He dismissed his companion without a second thought. But the young man in the doorway, he was burned into Rhett's mind. Dylan Thompson, the business card told him everything and nothing. LGBTQ+ youth advocate, Boston University, a phone number that Rhett memorized without trying. Rhett had built his fortune by reading people in seconds, understanding their motivations, their deepest weaknesses. It was a skill honed in Afghanistan, refined in boardrooms, perfected through necessity. But when their eyes met, he'd seen something that didn't belong in his world of calculated moves and strategic relationships. Genuine compassion, real purpose, a light that his darkness wanted to touch without destroying completely. The research papers told a darker story. Conversion therapy facilities, missing youth, families torn apart. Dylan wasn't just an advocate, he was a warrior fighting battles Rhett understood well. His phone buzzed, a text from his head of security, Cole Martinez. Rhett's jaw tightened. The Morrison family ran in operations throughout Texas and Colorado, always testing boundaries. If they were connected to what Dylan was investigating, that changed everything. He looked at Dylan's business card again, tracing the embossed letters. Sometimes the universe puts exactly what you need directly in your path. Sometimes salvation comes in a young man with kind eyes and a mission that mirrors your own hidden purpose. Rhett had spent years building walls around his heart, convinced that men like him didn't deserve gentle love. But holding Dylan's research, seeing the passion behind his work, something inside Rhett's chest began to crack open. The boy in the doorway hadn't just stumbled into his room, He'd stumbled into his life, and Rhett Caldwell never let go of what truly mattered. Understanding your authentic self often begins when someone sees you truly for who you are meant to become. Subscribe to Heart Stories. 3 weeks passed since Denver. Dylan threw himself into his work at the Boston Community Center, counseling LGBTQ+ youth who came to him broken, searching for someone who understood their pain. He spoke fluent American Sign Language with Marcus, a deaf teenager whose parents had rejected him. He played classical piano for Sarah, whose anxiety attacks triggered when she thought about coming out. Yet every night, those dark storm-colored eyes haunted his dreams. Dylan's phone buzzed during a session. Unknown Colorado number. His heart stopped. He let it go to voicemail, but the message was simple. Your research was impressive. We should talk. That voice, low, gravelly, unforgettable. Meanwhile, in Austin, Rhett's investigation had uncovered something horrifying. The Morrison family wasn't just laundering money through churches. They were funding conversion therapy facilities disguised as Christian youth retreats, using progressive congregations like Uncle James's as recruiting grounds. Vulnerable kids were being targeted, their information harvested during innocent church activities. Dylan's missing client, 16-year-old Alex Chen, had been one of them. Alex had disappeared after attending what his parents thought was a weekend spiritual retreat. That was 3 weeks ago. Cole Martinez spread surveillance photos across Rhett's desk. Sir, we've tracked the Morrison operation to a facility outside Colorado Springs. They're calling it New Horizons Ministry. Kids go in, changed kids come out, some don't come out at all. Rhett's jaw tightened. He'd seen what conversion therapy did to soldiers in Afghanistan. The psychological torture, the self-hatred, the suicide rates. Dylan was investigating the same network that had destroyed good men Rhett had served with. In Boston, Dylan couldn't ignore the signs anymore. Alex's parents had called frantically. Their son's social media had gone dark. His phone was disconnected. The retreat center claimed Alex had chosen to extend his stay for deeper spiritual guidance. Dylan knew better. He'd seen the pattern before in his research. Kids entered these programs as themselves and emerged as hollow shells, if they emerged at all. That evening, Dylan worked late at the community center, poring over missing persons reports. The building was nearly empty when he heard footsteps in the hallway. Heavy, measured, not the usual security guard's shuffle. 2 men appeared in his doorway. Neither smiled. Dylan Thompson, the larger one, had scarred knuckles and dead eyes. We need to talk. Dylan's training kicked in. Stay calm. Don't show fear. The center is closed. You'll need to make an appointment. This is about Alex Chen and your research into certain Christian organizations. Dylan's blood turned cold. How did they know the second man stepped closer? Some investigations are dangerous. Thompson, some kids are better off where they are. We're here to suggest you focus on other cases. And if I refuse, accidents happen to social workers who stick their noses where they don't belong. Dylan reached for his phone, but the first man was faster, much faster. The device clattered across the floor as strong hands grabbed Dylan's arms. Then the lights went out. Emergency lighting bathed everything in red as Dylan heard sounds of a struggle. Grunts. The impact of fists on flesh. When the lights returned, both men were unconscious on the floor. Rhett Caldwell stood in the doorway, his knuckles bloody, his expression deadly calm. Hello again, Dylan. Dylan's legs nearly gave out. How did you find you? I've had people watching you since Denver. The Morrison family doesn't play games, and neither do I. Rhett stepped over the unconscious men like they were furniture. Up close, Dylan could see the military bearing, the controlled violence beneath the expensive suit. Alex Chen is alive. For now, but these people won't stop coming after you. You've gotten too close to something they can't afford to lose. What are you talking about? Conversion therapy facility funded by the Morrison family. Your uncle's church received a donation last year. $50,000 from a shell corporation. They've been using church membership rolls to identify vulnerable LGBTQ+ youth. Dylan's world tilted. Uncle James would never knowingly participate in something so horrible. We need to leave, now. Rhett's voice carried the authority of someone used to being obeyed. These two will wake up soon, and they'll have backup. I'm not going anywhere with you. I don't even know who you are. Rhett's expression softened slightly. My name is Rhett Caldwell. I served 3 tours in Afghanistan before building a business empire in sustainable energy and organic farming. I've spent the last 5 years secretly funding organizations that help military veterans heal from religious trauma and conversion therapy damage. He pulled out his phone, showing Dylan photos of a rural facility. This is New Horizons Ministry. Alex Chen is being held there against his will, along with dozens of other kids. The Morrison family runs it. They're using your uncle's church as a pipeline. Dylan stared at the photos. Young faces behind chain-link fences. Kids who looked hollow, broken. Why should I trust you? Because 3 weeks ago, you walked into my room carrying research about the same monsters I've been hunting for years. Because you're the first person I've met who gives a damn about these kids beyond their usefulness. And because Rhett stepped closer, his voice dropping to something raw and honest. Because when I looked into your eyes in Denver, I saw something I thought I'd lost forever. Hope. Sirens wailed in the distance. Cole Martinez appeared in the doorway. Sir, we need to move. Dylan looked at the unconscious men, then at Rhett's extended hand. In that moment, he realized his research had led him to the one person who might actually be able to help save Alex and countless other kids. Sometimes the most important decisions are made not with your mind, but with your heart's recognition of a kindred spirit. The ride to Austin passed in tense silence. Dylan stared out the private jet's window, watching clouds drift past like his carefully ordered life. Rhett sat across from him, making calls in clipped military tones. Every instinct told Dylan to run, but Alex Chen's face haunted his thoughts. Austin surprised him. He'd expected oil money and cowboy stereotypes. Instead, Rhett's ranch sprawled across rolling hills dotted with solar panels and wind turbines. The house was modern glass and sustainable wood, overlooking organic pastures where cattle grazed peacefully. Welcome to Caldwell Ranch, Rhett said as they climbed out of the SUV. It's completely off-grid. Solar, wind, and geothermal power. The Morrison family can't track us here. Dylan followed him inside, overwhelmed by the space. Floor-to-ceiling windows, an open kitchen with commercial-grade appliances, art from local Austin creators covering the walls. It felt like a home, not a fortress. Guest room is upstairs, Rhett said, his formal tone returning. We'll start planning tomorrow. But Dylan couldn't sleep. At 3 a.m., he wandered downstairs and found Rhett in the kitchen, staring out at the dark pastures. A cup of coffee sat untouched beside him. Nightmare, Dylan asked softly. Rhett didn't turn around. Afghanistan. Some ghosts don't stay buried. Without thinking, Dylan moved closer. He'd counseled enough veterans to recognize the signs. Want to talk about it? My unit was deployed near Kandahar. We worked with local interpreters, good men who risked their lives to help us. One of them, Fareed, was gay. When the local Taliban found out, Rhett's voice broke. Dylan placed a gentle hand on Rhett's shoulder. He could feel the tension. The pain held so tightly it had become part of his bone structure. I couldn't save him, Rhett whispered. I tried to get him out, but the military bureaucracy moved too slowly. They killed him, made it look like an accident. That's not your fault. Rhett finally turned, and Dylan saw tears in those storm-dark eyes. When I came home, my own family disowned me. 20 years of military service, building a business empire, and they cut me off the moment I came out. Said I was an abomination. Dylan's heart clenched. I'm sorry. The nightmares aren't about war. Dylan, they're about failing people who trusted me. Kids like Alex, like Fareed. He looked at Dylan with such raw vulnerability that it took Dylan's breath away. Like me. Yeah, they stood in the moonlit kitchen. The space between them charged with something Dylan had never felt before. Not just attraction, but recognition, understanding. Two wounded souls finding safety and shared purpose. I've never told anyone about my research, Dylan said quietly. Not even Uncle James. I help other people come out, find their authentic selves. But I've been hiding my whole life. Rhett stepped closer. What are you hiding from, Atoyan? From admitting that I'm gay, from disappointing the man who raised me, from accepting that I might want someone to take care of me for once, instead of always being the caregiver. The words hung between them like a bridge waiting to be crossed. Dylan. Rhett's phone buzzed, shattering the moment. Cole's voice was urgent through the speaker. Sir, we've intercepted Morrison Communications. They're moving Alex Chen tomorrow. If we don't act fast, we'll lose him. The next morning, Dylan found himself in Rhett's war room, a converted barn filled with computers, satellite maps, and surveillance equipment. Cole Martinez ran the operation with military precision, coordinating with contacts Dylan didn't want to think too hard about. New Horizons Ministry is a fortress, Cole explained, pointing to aerial photos. Razor wire, armed guards, electronic surveillance. Kids are kept in dormitories with no outside communication. Dylan studied the photos, his social work training kicking in. What's the psychological profile? How are they breaking these kids? Sleep deprivation, isolation, forced religious indoctrination. They're told their families have abandoned them, that God hates them, that the only path to salvation is complete personality reconstruction. Dylan's stomach turned. That's not therapy. That's torture. Red appeared beside him, close enough that Dylan could smell his cologne mixed with leather and something uniquely him. We've identified the extraction point, kitchen staff entrance on the north side, but we need someone on the inside. I'll go, Dylan said immediately. Absolutely not. I'm a licensed social worker. I can pose as a new counselor. Get close to Alex and the other kids. Rhett's jaw tightened. It's too dangerous. These people don't hesitate to eliminate threats. And you think charging in with guns blazing will keep the kids safe? Dylan turned to face him fully. This isn't Afghanistan. Rhett, these are traumatized teenagers. They need someone who understands their psychology, not someone who understands combat. For a long moment, they stared at each other. Dylan could see the war between Rhett's protective instincts and his practical military mind. I won't lose you too, Rhett said quietly. The admission hung in the air like a confession. Dylan felt something shift inside his chest. Walls he'd built over years beginning to crumble. You won't lose me, Dylan promised. But I need you to trust me. Cole cleared his throat. Sir, we have a narrow window. Decision time? Rhett closed his eyes, and when he opened them, Dylan saw resignation mixed with something that looked like faith. We do this together. You go in as a counselor. I go in as facility security. We extract Alex and document everything for the FBI. Dylan nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. When do we leave it, Boyd? Tomorrow night, and Dylan. Rhett's hand found his, warm and steady. Stay close to me in there, whatever happens. Don't try to be a hero. Looking at their joined hands, Dylan realized he wasn't just agreeing to a rescue mission. He was stepping into partnership with a man who saw him not as someone to protect, but as someone strong enough to fight beside. Sometimes courage isn't about fearlessness. It's about facing your fears alongside someone who believes in your strength. New Horizons Ministry looked like a peaceful retreat center from the outside. Rolling Colorado hills, wooden crosses marking the entrance, a sign proclaiming, God's love transforms all hearts. But Dylan could see the razor wire disguised as decorative fencing, the cameras hidden among the trees. He adjusted his fake credentials one more time. Dr. Dylan Thomas, conversion therapy specialist with a PhD in religious psychology. The identity made his skin crawl, but it would get him inside. Rhett sat in the parking lot wearing a security uniform, his military bearing perfect for the role. They'd practiced their story for hours. Dylan was the new counselor specializing in persistent same-sex attraction disorder. Rhett was his assigned security escort, a veteran hired to help maintain order during difficult interventions. The facility director, a cold woman named Dr. Sarah Morrison, greeted Dylan with enthusiasm. Dr. Thomas, we've been so excited about your arrival. Your research on aversion therapy techniques is exactly what we need for our more resistant cases. Dylan forced a smile while his stomach churned. I'm eager to begin assessments. The tour was a nightmare disguised as a medical facility. Kids ages 14 to 19 sat in sterile rooms, their eyes vacant. Some showed signs of obvious malnutrition. Others had marks on their wrists from restraints. Dr. Dave Morrison spoke about treatment protocols like she was discussing livestock. This is Alex Chen, she said, stopping outside an observation window. Admitted 6 weeks ago for acute homosexual ideation. He's been particularly resistant to standard protocols. Dylan's heart broke looking at Alex. The vibrant teenager from his community center had been replaced by a hollow shell. Alex sat on a bare mattress, staring at nothing, his lips moving in what looked like forced prayer repetition. What's his current treatment plan? Dylan asked, fighting to keep his voice professional. Isolation therapy combined with corrective scripture memorization. If that fails, we'll move to electroshock intervention. Dylan's hands clenched into fists behind his back. Beside him, Rhett's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. I'd like to conduct a private assessment, Dylan said. My techniques require building trust first. Dr. Morrison hesitated. Our policy requires staff observation. With respect, Dylan interrupted. My methods are proprietary. I assume you want results. Agreed. 1. Doctor. Morrison nodded. Of course, 1 hour maximum. Security will remain outside. Dylan entered Alex's cell-like room, his heart pounding. The teenager looked up with dead eyes. Then recognition flickered. Dylan, Alex whispered, glancing toward the door. Stay calm, Dylan murmured, pulling out a clipboard. We're getting you out of here tonight. Tears started streaming down Alex's face. They said you abandoned me. That everyone abandoned me. Never. I've been looking for you since you disappeared. Dylan pretended to take notes while speaking quietly. How many kids are here? 43. Some have been here for months. There are others who, Alex's voice broke. Some kids don't make it. Dylan, when they don't respond to treatment, they just disappear. Dylan's blood turned to ice. What do you mean, Tommy Miller from Denver? He tried to escape, so they sent him for intensive intervention. That was 3 weeks ago. No one's seen him since. Dylan forced himself to maintain professional composure while rage burned in his chest. Through the observation window, he could see Rhett talking with facility security. They had to move fast. That night, Dylan lay in the staff quarters staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow, doctor. Morrison expected him to begin treating Alex with techniques that amounted to psychological torture. He couldn't do it, even to maintain his cover. He couldn't participate in destroying these kids. At 2 a.m., his door opened silently. Rhett slipped inside, his expression grim. Status, Dylan whispered. Security rotation changes at 3. Cole has vehicles positioned at the north entrance. But there's a problem. What? Morrison suspects something. She's moved Alex to maximum security isolation. And Rhett's voice hardened. I found evidence of what happened to the missing kids. Dylan sat up. Tommy Miller. Buried behind the facility, along with at least 6 others. Rhett's hands shook with controlled fury. This isn't a conversion therapy center. Dylan, it's a killing field. The magnitude of what they'd uncovered hit Dylan like a physical blow. These weren't just troubled kids being psychologically abused. They were being murdered. We can't wait for tomorrow, Dylan said. We extract everyone tonight. That's suicide. There are too many guards, too many variables. Then we make a choice, Dylan interrupted, standing to face Rhett directly. We save who we can save, or we let more kids die while we plan the perfect operation. Rhett stared at him, and Dylan saw something shift in those storm-dark eyes. Recognition, respect, maybe something deeper. You're right, Rhett said finally. But we do this smart. Create a distraction. Get the kids to the extraction point. Call in federal backup. Dylan nodded. What kind of distraction? Rhett's smile was sharp and dangerous. Fire alarm. Nothing gets people moving like the threat of being trapped in a burning building. They move through the facility like shadows, Rhett's military training showed in every step, every gesture. He disabled security cameras and neutralized guards with silent efficiency while Dylan gathered terrified kids from their rooms. Alex was barely conscious when they found him in isolation. "Dylan," he mumbled. His pupils dilated from whatever drugs they'd given him. "I'm here," Dylan whispered, lifting Alex with Rhett's help. "We're going home." The fire alarm screamed through the building as they herded 43 teenagers toward the exit. Some kids were too drugged to move quickly. Others were too psychologically broken to understand they were being rescued. Then Dr. Morrison appeared in the hallway with armed guards. "Dr. Thomas?" she said coldly, raising a pistol. "I really hoped you were legitimate." Rhett stepped protectively in front of Dylan and the kids. "Get them out of here," he ordered. "I'm not leaving you." "Goma!" Gunfire erupted behind them as Dylan shepherded the teenagers through the emergency exit. Cole Martinez and his team were waiting with vehicles, loading kids efficiently while sirens wailed in the distance. Dylan turned back toward the building, his heart in his throat. More gunshots, a small explosion, then silence. When Rhett finally emerged through the smoke, limping and bleeding from a shoulder wound, Dylan nearly collapsed with relief. "Is it over?" Dylan asked, supporting Rhett's weight. "Dr. Morrison and 3 guards are dead. The rest surrendered when they realized federal agents had surrounded the building." Rhett looked at the rescued teenagers being loaded into ambulances. "It's over." Dylan found himself crying. Months of tension and terror finally releasing. Rhett pulled him close with his uninjured arm. "You did it," Rhett murmured against Dylan's hair. "You saved them all." "We did it," Dylan corrected, standing in the Colorado darkness, surrounded by kids who were finally free. Dylan realized something had fundamentally changed inside him. He wasn't hiding anymore. From his feelings, from his identity, from the truth of what he wanted. He wanted Rhett Caldwell. Not just physically, but completely. His strength, his broken places, his fierce protectiveness, his gentle vulnerability in dark kitchens. Sometimes the most profound transformations happen not in moments of peace, but in battles fought alongside someone who sees your true worth. 6 months after New Horizons, Dylan stood in the kitchen of Caldwell Ranch, watching the sunrise paint the Texas hills gold. The guest bedroom had become his bedroom. The ranch had become home in ways Boston never was. His laptop displayed the final draft of his doctoral dissertation, Healing Religious Trauma, a comprehensive approach to LGBTQ+ youth recovery. It would be published next month, along with testimony from the New Horizons survivors that had led to federal legislation banning conversion therapy in 12 states. Alex Chen was thriving at University of Texas, majoring in social work. He visited the ranch monthly, part of the extended family that had grown around Dylan and Rhett's work. "Morning," Rhett said, wrapping his arms around Dylan from behind. 6 months of shared mornings, shared battles, shared vulnerability had transformed them both. "The contractors will be here in an hour," Dylan said, leaning into Rhett's warmth. "Are you ready for this?" Through the window, they could see the construction site where the Second Chances Retreat Center was taking shape. Part therapeutic facility, part working ranch, designed specifically for LGBTQ+ youth recovering from religious trauma and conversion therapy abuse. "Building it is the easy part," Rhett murmured. "Running it will be the challenge." Dylan turned in Rhett's arms. "Good thing we make a good team." The past months had taught them both about partnership. Rhett's business acumen and military discipline balanced Dylan's therapeutic expertise and intuitive understanding of trauma. Together, they had created something neither could have built alone. A car pulled into the driveway. Uncle James emerged, followed by a woman Dylan didn't recognize. "Dr. Patricia Williams," James said, introducing her. "She's the federal coordinator for LGBTQ+ youth services. She wanted to see our facility before her Washington presentation." Dr. Williams was impressed by the plans. Therapeutic horses for trauma work, organic gardens for grounding therapy, solar workshops teaching sustainable living skills, academic programs ensuring kids didn't fall behind educationally. "This is exactly what we need," and she said, studying the blueprints. A model that other states can replicate. How did you develop the funding structure? Red exchanged a glance with Dylan. Caldwell Sustainable Enterprises provides the initial investment. Federal grants cover operational costs. Private donations fund individual scholarships. What he didn't mention was that Red had liquidated 60% of his business empire to fund the center. Dylan had tried to argue, but Red had been unmovable. Money is just numbers on paper, he'd said. This work gives it meaning. That afternoon, Dylan found himself alone with Uncle James on the ranch's back porch. "You've changed," James said quietly. Dylan tensed. They'd never directly discussed his relationship with Red, though it was obvious they were more than business partners. "Is that a problem?" James smiled. "You're not hiding anymore. For years, I watched you help everyone else find their authentic selves while denying your own truth. Now you're living it." Relief flooded through Dylan. "Does it bother you, the gay thing?" "Dylan," James said firmly, "I've spent my entire ministry trying to understand God's love. What I see between you and Red isn't sin. It's sacred. Two broken people healing each other and using that healing to help others." That evening, the ranch hosted its monthly dinner for Second Chances supporters. Alex was there with his boyfriend, Marcus, from the community center. Cole Martinez brought his husband and their adopted daughter. Dr. Patricia Williams stayed to see the community Dylan and Red had built. During dessert, Red stood and tapped his wine glass. 6 months ago, he said, Dylan walked into my life carrying research about monsters I'd been hunting for years. I thought I was saving him, but it turned out he was saving me. Dylan's cheeks flushed as all eyes turned to them. We've built something beautiful together. This ranch, the center, this family we've created. But there's one more thing I want to build with you. Red pulled a simple silver band from his pocket. Dylan Thompson, will you marry me? The words hit Dylan like a physical force. Around the table, their chosen family erupted in cheers and applause. But Dylan only heard his own heartbeat. "Yes," he whispered. Then louder. "Yes." As Red slipped the ring onto his finger, Dylan realized this was what authentic living looked like. Not hiding, not shrinking to make others comfortable. Standing fully in his truth, surrounded by people who celebrated rather than merely tolerated who he was. The wedding took place 3 months later in the pasture behind the ranch house. Alex Chen officiated, having gotten ordained online specifically for the occasion. Uncle James gave a blessing that brought everyone to tears. Cole Martinez served as Rhett's best man, while Marcus signed the ceremony for the deaf youth from their programs. But the moment Dylan treasured most came during their first dance. The sun was setting, string lights twinkled overhead, and Rhett held him close while acoustic guitar played softly. "Any regrets?" Rhett murmured against his ear. Dylan looked around at their guests, 43 teenagers from New Horizons, now thriving in college or the center's programs. Veterans Rhett had helped heal from religious trauma, LGBTQ+ youth who'd found safety and purpose at Second Chances. "Just one," Dylan said. "I wish we'd found each other sooner." "We found each other when we were ready," Rhett replied. "Everything before was just preparation for this." As they swayed together under the Texas stars, Dylan understood that love wasn't about losing yourself in another person. It was about finding yourself so completely that you could offer that authentic self as a gift. It was about building something together that was larger than either person could create alone. The Second Chances Retreat Center opened the following year to national attention. It became a model replicated in 15 states. Dylan's therapeutic approach was adopted by treatment centers nationwide. Rhett's sustainable business practices earned environmental awards. But their real legacy lived in the kids who found themselves at the ranch. Young people who arrived broken and left whole. Teenagers who discovered that their identity wasn't a flaw to be fixed, but a gift to be celebrated. Have you ever had to choose between who others wanted you to be and who you truly are? Sometimes the greatest courage isn't in facing external battles, but in embracing the authentic self you've been afraid to show the world. Every journey toward truth changes not just your life, but creates ripples that touch others in ways you may never fully know. Subscribe to Heart Stories, where every voice matters and every story has the power to heal.